Biology Learning Video, Cell Cycle. Cell growth, reproduction, and regulation. Cell size limitations. Just like us, cells come in a variety of sizes. What determines a cell size? DNA, diffusion, surface area to volume ratio. DNA, what is it? DNA provides the blueprints or instructions for protein synthesis. Cells cannot survive unless there is enough DNA to support the protein needs of the cell. Diffusion. Examples: simple diffusion, facilitated diffusion, active transport, osmosis, across the cell membrane. Nutrients and waste are moved around a cell using diffusion. It is fast and efficient over shorter distances, but can slow down and be inefficient if the cell gets too big. If the cell gets too big, they would die before nutrients reach the organelles. Surface area to volume ratio. We'll use cubes as an example of a cell. Surface area is, for this example, 2 times 2 times 6. Volume is length times width times height. For this case, 2 times 2 times 2, which equals 8. As a cell size increases, its volume increases faster than its surface area. If a cell size is doubled, the cell would require 8 times more nutrients and would have 8 times more waste. The surface area would only have increased by 4, and therefore the plasma membrane would not have enough surface area to let the nutrients and let out waste. The cell would either starve to death or become poisoned by its own waste. Usually, cells divide before they get too big to control this factor. Cell reproduction. Cell theory states that all cells come from pre-existing cells. Division is a process by which this happens. Cell division results in 2 cells that are identical to the original parent. So if the parent has 10 chromosomes, each cell will have 10 chromosomes each. The cell cycle. This is a sequence of growth and division of a cell. There are 2 general periods. What are they? Period of growth and period of division. Interphase is the period of growth. This is where the majority of the cell's life is spent. This consists of 3 stages: G1, S, and G2. In G1, cells grow rapidly and protein production is high. In S, cells copy its chromosomes and DNA synthesis occurs. In G2, this is a short growth period in which mitochondria and other organelles are made and parts of the cell division, centrioles, are manufactured. This is the cycle of interphase. Mitosis. Mitosis has many phases. The first phase is prophase. Prophase is the longest phase of mitosis, but not the longest phase of the cell cycle. So what's the longest phase of the cell cycle? Interphase. In prophase, chromatin, those are DNA strands, coil up into visible chromosomes. They look kind of hairy. Each chromosome is made of 2 identical halves. These are called sister chromatids. These halves are held together by a centromere. These are examples of prophase. On the left is under a microscope. The right is under a drawing. As prophase continues, the nucleus becomes to disappear as the nuclear envelope and the nucleus disintegrate. At this time, the centrioles begin to migrate to opposite poles of the cell. Metaphase. Remember, metaphase means middle. This is the second phase of mitosis. The double chromosomes become attracted to the spindle fibers by their centromeres. The chromosomes begin to line up on the midline or equator, again in the middle. Anaphase is the third phase of mitosis. What happens in anaphase? Sister chromatids begin to separate. Centromeres split apart and chromatids are pulled apart. Telophase. It's the last phase of mitosis, but not the last phase of the cell cycle. In telophase, chromatins are pulled to opposite poles of the cell. The nucleolus reappear and new nuclear envelope forms around each new set of chromosomes. New double membrane begins to form between two new nuclei. Cytokinesis. What occurs? The cell's cytoplasm finally divides and the cell starts to pinch along the equator of the cell, forming two new cells. Remember, cytokinesis is different for animal cells and plant cells. Plant cells have a cell wall. So there you have all the stages of mitosis. Regulating the cell. This controls all of the cell division. When there is an injury such as a cut in the skin or a break in a bone, the cell at the edge of the injury are stimulated to divide rapidly. Cyclins. Cyclins regulate the timing of the cell cycle in eukaryotic cells. Internal regulators? What are they? These are proteins that respond to events inside the cell. Cyclins regulate the timing of the cell cycle. External regulators. What are these? Direct cells speed up or slow down the cell cycle. They include growth factors. They prevent excessive cell growth and keep the tissues of the body from disrupting each other. So what happens in uncontrolled growth? Unfortunately, cancer occurs. Cancer is a disorder in which some of the body's cells lose the ability to control growth. Cancer cells don't respond to signals that regulate growth. Cancer cells form masses of cells called tumors. Cancer cells break loose and spread throughout the body. This is the end of cell cycle.